All right, class. First off, as always, good day. Today's lesson is basically about elections and what you can do as a citizen and what's your responsibilities as a citizen of this country. All right. Now, if you don't have the packet, that's fine. Again, you can use just straight line sheet of paper. Just be sure you put, like you see there, government chapter 1.3. You put on the side, warm up, notes, response to question, things like that. Okay, that way I can see where everything is instead of you just bundling it all up and then I can't tell the difference and you'll probably more likely lose points because I can't. Just to me, it'll be looking like notes. Okay, and you don't want that. Okay, so be sure you separate it so I can see where the warm up is, where your notes are, where your response to the questions are, things like that. Okay. So without further ado, let us begin. All right, so here is your warm-up picture. Now, the first question is, almost like always, what do you see? So analyze this picture. What do you see? Okay, again, there isn't much on here, so it should not take you that long. All right. Think to yourself what goes in a ballot box. Okay, that will really help you out. So what do you see? And the second question is, what do you think this artist is trying to say? Okay, judging from what you've analyzed in the picture, what you see, the meaning, what's the meaning of it? What's this artist trying to say? Okay, so be sure you write that down. All right, so let's begin with the notes. Now, we're going to start off with free elections. Now, the thing is, in a democracy, everyone votes counts, right? Your vote carries weight. You're a person, you get one vote. Simple as that. So when we have not only national elections for stuff like the president, senators, things like that, um, there's also local elections that your vote plays even more of a role. Because if you think about how many people live in the United States, right, and then how many people live in your community, you know, it's a lot less. So your voice carries a lot more weight in your local area. So the thing is, there's a lot of people say, "Oh, my vote don't count. My vote don't count. Why should I vote? My vote don't count." Um, it does. It really does. Because if you think about it, if there were 5 million people who feel that way, which there are, believe me, there's more than 5 million people in this country who feel that way. You take all of them and then you change them from being like, I don't, my vote don't count to, I should go vote. Their voice could change the tide of elections. Because if you think about the last presidential election, the difference was by like a million votes. So if you have 5 million people, that can sway the election quite easily. Even if you took half those people, that would still sway the election more likely. Who knows? You know, and again, in the local area, it can change. Your vote carries more weight. So that's why it's important to vote. Okay. Now, the legal requirement to vote is kept at a minimum, all right? Because at the very, very beginning of this country, the only way you could vote is if you were a white male who owned property. Now, as time went on, thanks to like the 15th Amendment, which basically says that African Americans could vote, then the Southern white people tried to stop them from voting. So they said there was a literacy test. Hey, if you can't read, why? How do you know you're voting for the right person? The problem was there were some white people who couldn't read, so that kind of ruined it for them. Then they said, okay, well, you have to pay to uh, to vote. The problem was there were some poor white people who could not pay for the vote. So that kind of went out the way. So they tried different ways. Al Capone back in his era in the 20s and 30s, he basically had people outside the voting booth basically telling people, be sure you vote for this person. They use intimidation to get either people to stop voting or to vote a particular way. Okay. And right now in our country, there is no racial, ethnic, religious, or discriminatory tests that can be used to restrict people. Okay. Citizens can vote freely by secret ballot, again, without fear of punishment. There's no one going over your back going, no, 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 you have to vote a Republican or you have to vote Democrat. No one's doing that. You have the choice to vote for whomever or who you want. It's your choice. That's the power you have as a citizen of this country. So, we're going to talk about the definition of true democracy. Now, there are five general criteria that reflect the quality of life of a citizen in a democracy. The first one is active citizen participation. Now, the more citizens have more involvement in government, the more likely they're going to maintain a strong democracy. With that being said, it's like if people are more engaged in government and they see, oh, this politician's doing this or they're trying to do this, and they get on them, say, hey, you should not be doing that. If you don't stop this, I'm basically going to tell my friends not to vote for you. Or, I'm going to support this other person. You have to remember, a lot of these politicians, they care about being reelected. So if nobody's telling them what to do, if nobody's keeping an eye on them, they're going to do what they can do, what they want to do for themselves. You are all politicians like that? No, I'm not gonna say all of them are, but if nobody's watching the little kid, you know, in that place, we're supposed to be babysitting. Chances are they're gonna be doing something destructive. You got to keep an eye on them. All right. Now, involvement means things like being informed on issues, bills that are being about to be passed, court cases, local stuff, um, voting in elections, serving on jury duties. Believe it or not, some people don't like that. Well, I should say a lot of people don't like that, but still, it's a requirement. You have to do it. You know, it's necessary for our justice system to move, to go on. Um, and a big thing that stops it is people not being on jury duty. Okay, so and also other factors, but one of the big ones is people not signing up for jury duties. Um, Working for candidates, you find somebody who you support, who you think is basically going to make your life better, you should help them out, one way or another. And the other one is even running for office. So if you don't like the way things are being done, you should step up and say, you know what, I'm going to run for city councilman. I'm going to run for, mayor. I'm going to run for governor. Whatever it is that you feel you could do a better job, you should try, right? Um, a second factor is a favorable economy. Now, believe it or not, in a democracy, it's not good that we have a large or a small, rich group, or a large, excuse me, or small poor. It's actually the middle class. We need that middle class to be large. The smaller it is, the more it hurts our economy. Like I was saying in the other video before, um, the workers, the average Joe person spreads out their money more than a really rich person. Now, the thing is, a regular person, they spend their money on rent, their electric bill, food, stuff for their kids, maybe even, for Christmas, stuff like that. They spend their money on that. Whereas a really rich person usually would focus their money on a certain thing or hold on to it because they want to, accumulate their wealth, you know, or put into stock market, some of that. But it's not going to the economy. It's not, really, they're not buying stuff and keeping a business in business. They're just, not spreading that money out, which really hurts our economy. Now, a stable and growing economy is key for democracy. Um, Now, so like I said, when people have money, they will have time to focus on other stuff instead of surviving. So think about yourself. You had a job, and some of you might even have jobs where you're barely making it, you're barely scrounging a living. You're not thinking about, oh, I should go on vacation to Vegas in, 2 weeks. No, you're thinking, am I going to be able to afford my rent for this next month? Am I going to be able to feed not only myself and my kids or, whomever you're supposed to be taking care of? You know, um, what if something happens, to your car and so you have to worry about that, making sure your everything's in order, So that's what it means. That when the worker has more money that they can don't have to really worry, like if hey something happens to their car, they'll probably got enough money in my account to do something about it. I can now enjoy life a little bit. That's when the economy is great. Okay, not for the really rich people to be out doing things on their own, because again, they're doing it on for themselves. They're not really helping the economy. They're just focused on themselves. Now, the third criteria is this: a widespread education. A country is more likely to be successful if the public is well educated. That goes without saying. Because can you just imagine how this country would be if the people in charge have the intelligence of someone who's 8 years old? All right. They're fully adults. They're well functioned. It's just that they don't take responsibility for things. They haven't learned anything in school. They just are, in a sense, kind of like lazy for being adults. Can you imagine how this country would be? Something when happened, an accident happened, like say with a railroad derails or something. And instead of, oh, we're going to find the problem, we're going to try to fix it, things like that, they go, no, it's not our fault, it's their fault. Their fault. Yep, they did it. It's them. I know it's them. How do you know? I just know because it's not my fault. That kind of behavior, mentality, that's not something you would expect from an adult, especially one who's in charge of important things. So that's why it's important to have a well-educated public. Another thing that's very important is a strong civil society. Now, this is represented by volunteer associations, economic groups, religious organizations that work independently from the government. So they are not getting paid by the government, they're just helping out. They're doing their part to help out our country, to do things to kind of help it out in a sense that they don't want anything from the government. They just feel there's a wrong and they're trying to fix it. Okay. Um, so those types of group volunteer workers, they are amazing for this country, believe it or not. Okay. The last one is social consciousness. Now, this is when the people, the citizens, accept democratic values such as liberty and equality. Now, equality is not just only about race, it's also about the sexes as well. That we see that man and woman are equal, you know. Um, so it's not just about black, white, and Latino and Asian, also that. It's also men, women. There's different things that when we talk about equality. Some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not. That's why I'm teaching you guys this. Okay, it's not just about the color of your skin. There's other things. Even your sexual orientation. Whether you're straight, gay, or whatever. You know, equality is there, and also liberty, freedom. That's what this country is about. Freedom. So those are the 5 criterias to a democratic society. So, with all that being said, your question is this, the last question. Which of the 5 general criteria do you feel is the most important and why? So here's a list right there. Active citizen participation, a favorable economy, widespread education, strong civil society, strong consensus. So which one do you think is the most important and why? Why do you think that's the most important? So if you need to go back and watch the video to answer this, fine. Um, if you just want to look at your notes and go answer it like that, that's fine as well. All I care about is the why. The first part, sure, whatever you think, but I want to know why you feel this way. Okay, so once you finish, that's the end of this video. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in class. Don't forget to put your name on your notes and then turn it into the basket next to the door. All right, so see you guys later. Have a good day.